Welcome to the Build Idaho Podcast, and today we're going to do something special. My office is located in Meridian, Idaho, and John, what are we going to do from here?
Today we are bringing you a very exciting guest. Today we have the mayor of Meridian, Mayor Simison. Mr. Mayor, welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
We're glad to have you today. So I guess just let's get into it. Like, how long have you been the mayor?
Well, I've just started my second term. I started my second term 6 months into my second term, but originally elected in 2019, sworn to office January 2020, right before COVID happened. Completed one term, and now in the second term.
We all love you.
Well, I appreciate that.
Why do you think you were elected for a second term?
Well, I think the second term is, during the first term, there's a lot of anxiety that occurred throughout a lot of places in the country. I think Meridian weathered it pretty well. There wasn't a lot of attention focused on what the city and government were doing that was negative towards the community or to people.
Right.
Sure, we had incidents like everybody else did. But ultimately, we stayed focused on providing services to the community. That's what local government's all about.
Yeah.
It's providing a safe community. It's providing great parks for people to go out and play in. It's working on infrastructure. It's working with your partners to make sure your schools, have what they need as best as you can. And when you stay focused on the things that are relative to your work and your job, I think people appreciate that.
You have a nice low-stress job.
Some days.
How do you feel about the growth of Meridian right now? How do you feel comfortable with the growth that's happening and the impacts and?
Yeah, I think that during the first term, we took a hard look at where we were growing and tried to help our development community focus on where we want to see growth happen. What we knew is we couldn't grow everywhere at one time. That's not a good business model. Businesses don't do it. They don't go put it 7 stores in various places and things can work. It's like in and out. You start, you build, and you see where you want to go. But the development community was already building in certain parts of our community pretty heavily up in Northwest and Southeast.
Right.
We needed services in those areas. So we started deploying our services, put it in a fire station in each of those areas. We put a police precinct in one. We did a park expansion in the other. The library was putting in services in those areas. So we really just tried to be focused, and then in other parts of the community, we maybe slowed down where we were putting in infrastructure. And that was really kind of, very intentional in a lot of ways. And we tried to stay focused on growth priority areas, but it's where the market naturally was. But what we were trying to say to the rest of the market was like, if you want to come to Meridian, let's go here. Don't go here.
Right.
That helps us, and we can try to manage the growth and the expectations for the community and try to get road improvements built. That's a huge part of what the public looks for. Even though we don't do it, we got to work with our partners to help make it happen.
Yeah, it's all about partnerships.
Yes,
we don't work together, things don't get done.
Correct.
That's cool. What do you think some of the most important things for you in 2024 and 2025?
Oh, look at the long term. I just did my State of the City, and really the financial situation that we are in this year. The legislature has been changing how the cities receive their revenue. As house prices go up, our levy rate goes down. That impacts the taxes that new homes pay.
Yeah.
Which means it's hard to provide those services. So trying to have a strategy where we can continue to invest in our police and fire personnel that's needed, as well as the back end support that's necessary. And plus, then we also have government regulations we have to comply with. State of Idaho, the PERC went up this last year. That was a huge impact financially to the city as we grow. So really, being smart with our budgets so that we can, afford the things that we have to pay for, and then invest in the things that we need to.
You do not have a simple job. You do not have a simple job.
I have to laugh because I think affordability. Are we out paying somebody in the country to tell them that Meridian is like the #1 place to be? What's going on?
No, we haven't done that in a long, long time. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
John, what do you think the most important thing about knowing about the mayor would be?
I actually pawned on this.
This is a joke, by the way.
Yeah, I actually pawned on this for a little while because I thought, people want to get to know you. They know you through the public eye, right? Through the public figure. What'd you have for breakfast?
Well, I didn't eat breakfast this morning.
You didn't eat breakfast?
No, I'm not a big breakfast guy typically.
So a coffee.
Don't drink coffee.
All right.
Well,
I don't drink coffee either.
I traditionally have done Coca-Cola, but even that I try to balance when I have it, when I need to. So, to be honest with you, I look at my day each day. I figure out where am I likely going to eat, knowing that I will probably have 1 to 2 decent meals, whether that's lunch and dinner, or if I need to grab a snack and breakfast because I'm going to have a bigger lunch, and I try to do it, but three meals is not the ideal for me, so I try to pull that back.
So another question, because it's totally off topic, but so do you get invited out to lunch every day? Is that something that happens? It's just I got to go take the mayor out to lunch today.
No, I don't get invited out to lunch, but I do a fair amount of my meetings during lunch. There's a lot of set meetings that I do, whether it's a Compass Finance Executive Committee meeting that you do. Every month we get together with the other mayors in the valley for lunch.
Oh, good.
So there's several different organizations. So I probably am doing 4 to 5 a month of just like preset, show up, you're going to do a meeting while you eat type stuff. That's also my time where I can have an opportunity to sit down and meet with people that I need to meet with. So it varies in that context. Sometimes it's the only time that works. If people are looking to really get on your calendar, lunch is the time that makes sense if they want to go quickly. But, I reserve Wednesday, each Wednesday of the week is my time for lunch to go out and, eat with whomever or do whatever I need to do in that context, knowing that I'm going to have other meetings built in around, or sometimes you got a director that wants to meet, and that's your free time. You sit down, you don't eat, you do the work.
So we do have something in common then, because we all have to time block our days and our personal time, and it sounds like you have to do the same thing too. And when you get home, the phone doesn't stop ringing, and you just mentioned earlier it's self-inflicted. I like that. I like that analogy. I'll probably use that in real estate because it's self-inflicted for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you don't have a lot of the community's not calling you at home at 6 o'clock at night. Typically that's not what you're doing. But I know my job, and to be effective in my job, I can't stop engaging with people in the community, in whatever level that means.
Yeah.
It might be helping an event take place. I'm on the board of the Big Brothers Big Sisters of
nice.
Idaho, and so it might be like, hey, I got to make some phone calls to find a sponsor for an activity or an event coming up, or maybe it's someone that's running for election and I want to help them be supportive, and so it's introducing them to people. But that's how those are the things that I'm passionate about, is finding good quality people to be elected around the state and supporting our nonprofits, and and then I find family time in there as well.
Cool. Curious. Go ahead.
Yeah, you get to go, Trey. Right. Your turn. You're not wearing plaid today.
Oh, I know.
You wore blue.
Curious, why did you decide to run? I mean, it's not an easy job. Comes with lots of potential conflict. And why did you decide to run for mayor?
Well, it was really, I worked for Mayor Tammy for 13 years.
Okay.
And, she had reached a point in time where she was ready to move on. And I, too, was looking for a new challenge in a lot of ways. And her and I had a conversation, and, she encouraged me to run. And so after having that conversation with the family, and others in the community that I trusted and felt like I would have their support, they said this will give me an opportunity to grow as a person, even if I run and lose.
Yeah,
sure. Running a campaign is like running a small business. There's a lot of analogies there. We're not going to bore your listeners with that today. Yeah. But it was like I knew the campaign would be a new challenge for me, if nothing else. I'd run for office for the legislature in 2012, and I didn't like the feeling that I got from that loss. And it's like going out and starting your first business. Would you've done everything the same the next time you do it? No, you didn't. You changed. You adapted. So I went out and said the campaign will be, and if I'm successful, that's going to be a new change as well. Because even though I was only 30 feet away in my office from her office, what happens in those offices is quite different.
Right.
From being chief of staff to being mayor, and the conversations you're having, the expectations that the community is putting on you, and how you respond to those.
That's cool.
Well, we think the public did the right job. They made the right choices. I'm curious with the amount of people that are moving into town and moving into Meridian, our community, Meridian, North Meridian, South Meridian, I live in South Meridian.
So do I, South Side.
Which you're allowing to grow. We can tell that you're allowing that area to grow. What do you think that the most important topic would be that somebody moving from out of state would consider Meridian for right now?
Well, traditionally, it's always been about education in Meridian. A lot of people love what West Ada offered to the community. They were moving here with their families, and they wanted to see the great schools. We had new schools. We have great CTE programs. Very innovative district. Mayor Tammy always said that's why Meridian grew, is she blamed the schools, and that's what people were looking towards. I think that's changed over time. Yes, the district is actually has fewer people in it now than it did. Our family sizes have gone down by about one person over the last 17 years. Household size.
Right.
Household size has reduced. And we've aged. We're seeing a lot more seniors move to the area. You guys know that.
From real estate perspective, we sell a lot of out-of-state people retired or retiring.
Correct.
Or chasing their children.
Exactly.
Their children have came, and now it's 2 years later, and they've visited twice, and we're just going to move.
Right. And so what matters to them? Safety.
Safety.
Matters probably more so.
Security. Security.
Stability. Knowing what they're getting into. And so I think that those are the things that people, are really kind of looking at right now. I don't know, political environment, but there is definitely some people, they look at the politics and say what community they want to live in. Do they want to live in Boise versus Meridian or Nampa or even a smaller city, Star, based on what you expect to see from your local elected officials in that area. I think more of that is happening today than in the past.
So what do you think a big topic would be, where's Meridian going? What's the future look like?
Well, I think the future's bright for Meridian. We're always going to be somewhat the geographical center of the Treasure Valley. Now, the Treasure Valley extends all the way out to New Plymouth. Well, okay, we're on the edge.
We're on the other 25%.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think for the next 2 to 3 decades, the growth in the Treasure Valley is going to exist right there along the Highway 16 corridor, where Meridian and Nampa are coming together. So we're going to continue to be that focal point that I think businesses are going to really be focusing on. They've really been doing that. We've surpassed the point in time where we have more jobs than we have people to fill those jobs in Meridian. Our net migration has reduced, but it's getting the right type of job so that we, maybe we can pull some of those people that go to downtown Boise. Maybe they'll eventually be here in Meridian. Yeah. So I think the focus on business growth, for me, that's healthcare. I've talked about Meridian being the healthcare epicenter of Idaho. Yeah. We have that in our future. I know that with ICOM here and ISU and
just real quick, ICON.
Not
everyone knows that.
Idaho College of Osteopathic Medicine.
There we go.
That's right down the street from my house. They built that, and the whole time somebody told me it was a medical school, and I kept saying, "No, I'm not having a medical school here," but we do.
We do.
And a great one.
A great partnership with Idaho State University, and Idaho State University has purchased 23 acres north in the vacant farm field there in Locust Grove, where they plan to do an expansion. So healthcare education, healthcare service delivery, that's going to be Meridian. St. Luke's has a huge amount of property.
Right.
They can do whatever they want. We're going to be looking at our land use planning, but really healthcare in Meridian, those are going to be synonymous, in my opinion, here in the next decade in a lot of ways.
I got one. When are you going to start widening some roads?
Well, we do what we can, and we are working on that. Linda Road Overpass is our best example, where the city's invested our dollars into Linda Road Overpass, working with ACHD. ITD also gave us a grant to help with that, and they put money into their planning to help put that overpass in. But widening roads is our number one goal in working with Ada County Highway District. Safety of all roads is important, right, including sidewalks, and we've spent time in that. But trying to get our roads improved, and that's partnership. You talk about living in South Meridian, and you look at what's happened the last year in South Meridian. Locust Grove got widened.
That was right by my house.
Yeah, down to, and then Brighton widened. Lake Hazel down there. between Eagle and really a little bit past Locust Grove for their property their project they're doing down there. But that was us talking to them, working with them, because we had the park that was going in down there. So we are definitely focused on improving roads, whether that makes them wider, putting in better intersections, improving the safety features of the roads, because that has traditionally been the number one issue to Meridian residents.
Yeah.
Can I pay a huge compliment to whoever brought in the roundabout? Can I just say thank you?
Yeah.
Well, that would be 80 County Highway District. We don't always agree on roundabouts, so I'll let you give them that compliment.
My wife would be in your camp. I'm like, you drive up, you drive through, you drive out. It's pretty simple.
There's no stopping.
I've said roundabouts have their place. I think that there's the ones on Locust Grove, great. The one at Eagle and Amity, that one I'm a little, we invest a lot of time in police resources at that intersection.
Oh, really?
Oh yes, yeah. Oh yes. There's
Just because of accidents.
Oh yeah.
And people not paying attention. They don't stay in the lane.
Well, it's a very complex, big roundabout.
It is.
With a high rate of speed, and roundabouts are, there's a lot of things we could talk about just about that thing, but to me, when you have to put in a bypass lane to make the roundabout function, it shouldn't be a roundabout. At that point in time, the roundabout is not the outcome.
Because it's exiting 25% of the way through the roundabout.
Well, you before people even enter the roundabout. So that's a whole nother story. For another day. But
let's talk about things that are positive and coming in the future. So tell us, is there anything that you can share with us that's coming to Meridian, Idaho that maybe we're not aware of?
I don't know that there's stuff that people aren't aware of at this point in time. We've had a lot of big successes in our community over the last, couple years. Whether it's Shills or In and Out. We don't have an IKEA on the forefront. We don't have anything like that that's coming. I think that what we do have is we've got some great investment that's being done in parts of our community that needs that investment, especially on the commercial side. Whether it's in South Meridian, you look around what's going on around that Albertsons, the Eagle and Amity, or the library and what Brighton is doing up at Pinnacle, or the area that's over there by the YMCA. We're seeing the fill-in services that are important to the area, and then you can transition that all the way up to very similar conversations up in Northwest Meridian. Linder Village continues to increase and bring in more restaurants.
And the library there is amazing.
The library that has gone
podcasting, printing, 3D printing.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
Yeah, and the one downtown. So I think that there's a lot of sustained investment from our business community that is bringing those services to places. We're supposed to, it's already been announced that there's 2 hospitals that are planned out by Highway 16 in Chinden. Waiting for those to both move forward.
That's a need.
They've been in the works for a while.
They have been. So there's still stuff that's coming. It's just a matter of when does it show up.
Yeah.
What are
What do you think the triggers are for the next step? Is it just people, growth?
I think it's a combination. It's infrastructure. I think getting Highway 16 out in that area, getting that completed can really
that'll boost it.
Boost the need. It's going to change traffic patterns and create bigger needs in that context. But you guys are on the ground, and ultimately comes down to the people. Yeah. When the market starts moving at a fast enough rate, that homes are getting built in those areas and people are showing up, that's going to happen. The things I think out in Northwest Meridian that are really going to be the main drivers is when Coal Valley really moves forward with their school.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Out there.
Yeah.
And we have an infrastructure project out there that we're putting in a lift station, the final phase of that lift station, which will open up Northwest Meridian, so that 4 square miles around Owyhee, around where Coal Valley is going to be, that area will be allowed to start developing. And I think when that starts developing, that will push the hospital conversation in a lot of ways.
Curious, growth. Going good pace for you. I mean, it's market driven, right? But good pace for you. You'd like to see more of it. You'd like to see less of it. You'd like to see it designed better.
Honestly, the last 4 or 5 years, we've been pretty steady in what our growth has been. If you look at the combination of multifamily and residential, we've been between 2,200 and 2,500, units a year.
All right.
That's good.
That's good.
In the context of we don't want to go up to 4,000, 5,000 units. We don't want to be at 200 units.
Got it.
You know, so it's a very sustainable
balance.
As long as it's balanced, as long as it's done in the right locations where we don't have to extend our services too far. The more infill, the better. You know, people want to bring in some infill, even though they're harder to do, they cost more money, but that helps us deploy services. So the residential number isn't scary if it goes up, if it's in the right place. But, you know, I don't know that as an economy, you know, because the demand is there.
Right.
If we go much lower, it shoots prices the opposite way, then it makes it even harder for people that want to, you know, their kids. It just pushes them even further from being able to reach here because the prices will go the wrong direction.
You know, I thought of one thing. What's going on with the water treatment plant? I heard at one point that the water treatment plant had basically reached its capacity in Meridian, and now I believe that it's actually got room to now grow more. Is that true?
Yeah, we have space, but we're always growing it. You know, between the Canada lift station and 2 projects, the wastewater treatment plant, one of them is a new aeration basin. You know, we're investing $40 million this year in just those projects.
$40 million.
$40 million.
Wow.
Whoa.
It's amazing.
So we're constantly, you know, investing in our wastewater treatment plant to accommodate the needs of the community, to allow that to happen. Some of the biggest thing is when do we put in our trunk lines, the McDermott trunk line. That's really our last main infrastructure component that will allow southern Meridian, you know, to be considered for development. And, you know, in a lot of ways, that's still 7-8 years away before it's going to reach south of the interstate. Cool. So we're going to stay focused where we are.
All right, Mayor, I've got one last question for you. It's something I just enjoy hearing from people. You've got a big leadership role. What do you think is the key to success for your job, and how do you think, like, you've done a great job, like people like you, and we don't have a lot of conflict or weird?
I attribute my success to being focused on the things that are within my purview as mayor. You know, saying focus on the services we deliver to the community. Don't get off into other issues which really we don't have a say or a control in. And if I do that, the other part, you know, I think my personality. You know, some people would like to see somebody way up here and someone way down here, but I'm pretty level and stay focused on things, and that allows me to generally keep things pretty calm with those that I interact with. And then finally, collaboration. If you're not working with partners, then you're dead in the water.
You're collaborating and you're living. You're not collaborating, you're dying. Yeah. That's the way I feel about that. Cool. I've got one last question I can't think of. Are you in the market for a new home at all? If I didn't ask, I would be very remiss.
We love our home. We're in Tuscany. We back up to 10 Mile. So we got we have an open space for another subdivision behind us. So I've got a nice piece of land that I don't have a neighbor behind me directly for, you know, probably 100 yards. But by the time you get through the open space, the creek, the setback to the next neighbor across the way.
Got it made.
I'm good.
So we are actually we live within probably a driver's range from each other because I'm right behind that field.
All right.
And go ahead. Go ahead, Trey. Well, I was just going to say, we wanted to thank Mr. Mayor for being with us today. We want to thank the listeners and the viewers watching today. We want to thank Trey Lankford and Build Idaho. In closing, as always, don't forget to like, follow, and share, and hit that subscribe button.
And just one more thing, though. If someone wants to learn more about Meridian, Idaho, and I know you do your own podcast, where can they learn more about Meridian?
Oh, yeah.
Well, just go to our city website, meridiancity.org, and give you all you want to know. And yes, we do have a podcast there that you can go learn about the city services and the work we do with our partners.
Perfect. Thank you for your time today. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.